And welcome back to Nancy's Neighborhood. And I'm still here with our future mayor, who will be, what did you say?
September
Not-
10.
Not sworn in. What was the word you used?
I think the inauguration. I think.
Inauguration
Yeah, I
will
think
be
it's
September the 10th at 3 o'clock. And where will that be?
downtown, right here at City Hall.
Right at City Hall.
Yeah.
Very good, because I'm going to try to be there. I'm going to put it on my calendar.
You're
September
invited.
3 o'clock. Thank you. Because I want to see you sworn in. I'm also going to try to be at the county commission meeting the Tuesday after Labor Day, because Kevin Raper was one of my
That's right.
students
That's right.
at Inglewood in second grade.
How about that?
I know.
Good guy.
Yes, he's a great guy. So anyway, I need to be there for him. And so I just like to support people, and I think it's great. So you're going to step out on September the 10th and change the world that day.
Well, it might not be that day,
Okay.
but it will be the beginning of great days ahead. I said it before we took the commercial break that Cleveland's really, really good.
Yes.
And we're going to take it from good to great. There's a lot of great people already in place. City manager is doing a great job.
Yes,
City
he
council.
is.
Obviously, Tom Rowland, Mayor Rowland, has done a phenomenal job for 28 years.
Yes.
The longest serving mayor in the history of our city and state.
And the state. That's right.
And,
yes.
and I look forward to sort of taking up that mantle and beginning the process of really executing what we talked about, downtown revitalization. You mentioned the meetings that are coming up and the charrettes that are
Charrettes.
headed this
I
way.
love that.
Yeah, I looked it up so when you brought it up tonight, I could a meeting in which stakeholders in a project attempt to resolve conflicts and make solutions.
How wonderful.
So that's the official title.
I said it sounded like a singing group, the Charrettes. But
does,
anyway,
actually.
and I think that's awesome. And during the announcements, I'll mention to everybody and their opportunity to have some input in there.
That's
So I know that Joe Fivas has written several grants.
Great.
They have some sidewalk renovations
We do.
and some new sidewalks
do.
going in from a grant.
We just got 25th Street right there at Elders Ace Hardware going all the way up to Bradley Healthcare.
Yes.
It's going to be great. There's a new one that's on the books right now, Gott Street. You might remember right downtown near the community center. It's going to be a bus stop and more sidewalks
wow.
on that side
Okay.
of town, which
All
is
right.
desperately needed.
Absolutely.
In East Cleveland. So there's a lot already on the books, and I can't wait to make that even more and
I
faster.
think that's great. I really do. And I talked to Joe the other day because the grant that they have, that you all have right now, it stops at Worth Street.
That's right.
Well, the red ribbon, it needs to come on down because your trees have grown into my sidewalk.
I love it. I love it.
Welcome to this world, Kevin.
I was very fortunate to be elected on Thursday night, and less than 12 hours later, at 10:06 a.m. Friday morning, I got my first call about a pothole on Ocoee Street.
I love it.
A manhole.
I love it.
Needs to be fixed. I said, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does, and that's exactly right. Now, let me digress a little because you know I'm wonderful at doing that. You do have a lovely family. Your wife, Kim, y'all met at Lee.
You know, actually, it's my high school sweetheart.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
I fell in love with Kim in high school. I was a senior and she was a junior, and captain of the cheerleading squad. And
I can see that.
Just as beautiful then as she is today.
Cute as a button.
And I thought at that moment, if I could be so lucky as to attract her. So we dated in high school, and then off and on, I came to Lee. She went to a great school in North Georgia, Toccoa Falls College. You might have heard of Toccoa, Georgia.
I know where Toccoa is.
And so she and her brothers all went to Toccoa, and then we dated again after Lee, and then got married my end of actually the very last semester that I was there. And I said I convinced Kim first, and then Kim's dad to let me bring his only daughter to Cleveland, Tennessee, and we knew immediately this was our home forever.
And I think that's great. And you've raised two children here.
Raised two children. Zach was born.
Two great kids.
Yeah, right
yes.
there at Bradley, now Nova, which is where you're on the board, and Elizabeth was born in Charlotte, and two wonderful kids, both products of the Cleveland City School System, and both of them. I'm just so proud of both of them. Elizabeth's now a nurse at Vanderbilt. Zach is back in Cleveland. He's on the operations team at Lee. Kim books the events, and Zach sets them up. He did the whole Vice President Pence visit.
Wow.
I was very proud of
Oh,
him.
my gosh. Okay,
And,
that's awesome.
And he's also getting his MBA degree,
Fantastic.
far surpassing his father's educational goals. So I'm very
You did
thankful.
well, though.
Thank
You did well.
Thank
You did extremely well because you actually have a day job.
I actually do have a day
Yes.
job. It was interesting. Last week was our biggest event every 2 years. It's called the General Assembly. Used to come to Cleveland.
Yes.
Sell out the whole town. We used to
Yes.
meet at the old auditorium on Keith Street.
Right.
And last week we had 10,240 seats in Orlando. And right in the middle of that week was this little thing called the August 2 elections. And so I had a couple of different sets of tickets booked.
I bet you did.
And we did a little back and forth a couple of times. But it's wonderful that my church is so supportive. It's wonderful that my family is so supportive. And it's wonderful that Cleveland has been so supportive. I mentioned this morning, you mentioned I was with WCLE, and last week they said, what are you going to do if you win on day one? And I said, I'm going to say thank you. So I've spent most of the day today, literally breakfast, lunch, hopefully at dinner, saying thank you, thanking the voters, thanking my supporters, thanking all the Aunt Nancys out there that have believed in me since I was a 19-year-old.
Yes. And we've loved you since then, too.
Thank you.
Because you have not disappointed us.
Thank you.
did not disappoint me when you were in Nashville because you were an email or a phone call away.
Sure.
Or if I saw you on the street in Cleveland, I'd say, by the way, Kevin,
And that will continue.
here's, I know,
That
but
will continue.
But I will not be talking about what I was talking about then. But anyway,
But you can say, call somebody.
yeah,
I
I can.
Get
I say-
somebody on the
Or
phone.
I could say to you, who do I need to call?
That's right.
Because you know, bashful me, I won't mind at all. But I'm thrilled that you're going to be here because it's like you said, your children are a product of public education here in Cleveland, and I know your heart is in education because of what you've done in Nashville. So I'm just excited that you're here because there's a lot of things that we're going to see happen. That
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think about it every day. This election was a difficult, hard-fought battle.
Yes, it was.
And I'm thankful that we came out on the victorious side. But it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about listening. Taught me a lot about it's not so much about my desires and my vision and my dream, but I've got to listen to the people, listen to the citizens, and invoke from them what it is that they need and they want. Dwayne Bunch, the senator, I took his seat in the House.
yes, you did.
And Dwayne was also a coach. You learn a lot from coaches.
Yes, you do.
And Coach Bunch, now Judge Bunch,
Yes.
he was very direct and very simple. He said, Kevin, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You do the math.
I love it. I love
you
it.
listen twice as much as you speak.
Yes.
And I have not forgotten that. I've not forgotten that very simple principle.
That is so simple.
And you do the math. And so I find myself listening and seeking. Nancy, what is it about Worth Street that you need? I've now learned it's the trees, my trees, are growing into your sidewalk.
That's right. You've learned that.
And that's an easy fix. We can fix that.
Yes, and I'd like for you to do that. And I will say this: the city has been wonderful to me because I sent Dan Hartman an email, and I made a phone call to him. I said, your trees have grown into the top of my shop, my building, and your squirrels are running into my attic. And I'd like for you to come trim the trees. And 2 days later, they
were
were there.
trimmed. I
That's
love
right.
it.
And I bragged on them, and I said, thank you all so much. I appreciate this. And knock on wood, I've not had any more squirrel problems since because Dan stood there with me, and he said, look how far they have to jump now from the tree to your roof. Unless they're Olympians, it's not going to happen.
You know, Dan, and there's just countless others, 355 fantastic city employees. And it starts at the top and all the way through Dan and all the other department heads, all the way down to everyone in the city just do a fantastic job. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of that team and to get ready to serve alongside them.
And I think that's great. Now, when will be your first time to actually
Preside.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's going to
wrap
be
the
it's
gavel.
going to be in September.
Okay.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, and I think that's great. And you have a couple of new commissioners, new councilmen.
New councilman, yeah.
Yes.
We've got we are looking forward to serving. Ken also ran a very good race,
Yes,
and
he did.
I'm thankful that outcome was positive for Ken, and he worked very hard, and I'm really looking forward to the current relationships and friendships that I have with so many of the city councilmen. Of course, Bill Estes from Lee University,
Yes.
and Dale Hughes, an institution in this town.
Totally.
And and then of course Ken, who's replacing Richard, who's been a friend for a long time.
Right.
And Charlie McKenzie, who ran and won his seat
Had
back.
a tough race, yes.
Tough race. David May, former fire chief, who's been a dear friend for so long. So I'm really looking forward. And of course, Vice Mayor Avery Johnson, who I have such a great deal of respect for.
Yes.
And I called Avery multiple times during the campaign, and I truly do honor his service as vice mayor, and honor his work for the city. You don't have to walk around very far to hear truly the great work and the great representation of Avery all across our city, and I'm thrilled to be sitting there alongside these great men. No women yet. Sorry,
I'm
Aunt
so
Nancy.
sorry about that, because
And,
I honestly can't run for that because I don't live in the city. Even though I own a piece of property in the city, I can't
Well,
do
you can
that.
buy a condo with me over there at Spring Creek.
There you go. I love those condos over there. I think that's great.
Thank you.
But I did kid Kevin about this. I said, Kevin, you go to Nashville while you leave Kim here to raise the two kids, and she did an excellent job
She
of
did.
it. And then after they're gone, I mean, they're not really gone, but they've graduated from college, and now Kevin comes home.
That's exactly right. Well, and I'll be honest with you, I still think of Kim and Zach and Elizabeth as sort of all of our immediate family, and we're still so closely connected. Elizabeth was with us last week. I'll be with her tomorrow in Nashville. And so there might be a few miles between us, but we're still such a close-knit family.
You are that.
I was thrilled that the paper and Facebook had the pictures of us as a family. We do this as a family.
Yes.
This whole political adventure is done as a family unit.
Yes, and if it wasn't, then it couldn't be done.
I can't imagine and don't want to imagine doing this without my family's support. Elizabeth and Kim have been amazing support, but this time Zach really stepped up. I was unable to be there for a Habitat ribbon cutting, and he spoke on my behalf and became part of the very critical leadership team of the campaign, and followed so closely the night of the election with the numbers, and would walk up to me with his phone, and there's this great picture of he and I, and the precincts had just started closing, and I still don't even know who snapped the picture, but it's Zach and I conferring about the numbers, and I'm so thankful. And then, of course, Kim spoke on my behalf at the Republican dinner.
Yes, she did, and did a beautiful job.
And I kept getting texts, you should have done this a long time ago. We'd much rather hear from her.
And she looked really nice up there, too, yes.
And I was so thankful that both Zach and Elizabeth, Zach and Kim spoke on my behalf. And then Elizabeth would come in often. She was here for the whole week of the campaign. And we really, pouring down rain.
Was it ever.
Had our supporters out there in the rain.
Mm-hmm.
Kim and I are buying tents and umbrellas and passing out. I think my mom went to Becky's Shoes and bought galoshes for she and my dad and my sister.
I love it. I love it.
It was a family affair.
And unless people have run, they don't understand. You need to be, and with you had how many voting precincts?
Yeah, I had 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
And someone needs to be standing there,
Every one of them,
all 8 hours, holding up a sign. Now you may not have that one person standing there, but you got to be represented
and it
there.
was pouring down rain.
Yes.
And I was so grateful. The volunteers and the Brooks Blue Crew, as we named them.
I love that.
They just it's humbling.
Yes.
People ask you, how do you feel? And the absolute truth, and the very first answer I always give is humbled. Mm-hmm. It's not just about the vote, it's about the people behind the vote. I'm humbled that they voted for me. I'm humbled that they pray for me. I'm humbled that people volunteer for me. We gave out over 1,100 shirts with our name.
I think that's awesome.
And you realize if somebody's walking around with your name on their back, you hear that all the time, I've got your back. Well, when you've got your name
there you go.
on their back.
That's right.
And you realize the investment that person has, it's not a sign on the side of the road. It's actually their own person who's willing to say, I believe in this guy so much. I'm going to wear his shirt and wear his name on my back. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the most humbling thing that somebody can do for you.
Absolutely. And that's better than a bumper sticker.
It's a walking billboard is what we told people.
It's a walking billboard, and you're exactly right. And that's awesome. And the fact that people did not mind doing it.
And ask for them. We actually could not keep up with the shirt and sign and hat orders
Wow.
We still, the day of the election, we're getting more and more requests, and still we're ordering right up until the very poor Andrea has done a yeoman's job keeping us stocked in shirts. Bless their hearts.
Isn't that something? Of course, you know, I laughed at Stephen Crass was at the banner when I ran. Of course, Ralph Baldwin is there now. They loved us. They loved you. They loved me. They loved anybody that ran for public office because those ads aren't cheap, and you can't just put one in there a month.
Yeah.
You have to keep them going. And when people call and say, my family would like to do an ad, you know what that price is on
exactly
that, and they're doing it out of their own pocketbook.
Very humbling.
Yes, it is extremely humbling. And you know something else that's humbling? Oh, is Alex holding up? He's doing this, not any fingers. We are done, Kevin.
I love it.
This has been so awesome to have you on today. And you know I love you, and I would have done anything to help you, including being a property owner in town. And so I am so thrilled for you. I just know it's going to be awesome.
I look forward to
Can't wait till it all starts. The train starts down the track.
I'll need your help.
Oh, and you got it.
Thank
you know
you.
it. Folks, I'll be right back to talk about this storm that's going on right now as we're talking. We're hearing thunder, and as we were talking about the rain at the polls, we think it's raining here. So don't go away. Watch our commercials, support our sponsors because they pay our bills, and we'll be right back.